Welcome back. Now, as the country commemorates the 10th anniversary of Marikana massacre, Amnesty International South Africa says the government and Sibanye Stillwater have failed Marikana victims. The organization says government has failed to hold the mining company accountable, and that has a negative impact on human rights. For more on this, we are joined by Amnesty International South Africa's Sibusiso Khasa. Thank you very much, Sibusiso, for your time here on All Angles. About 2,600 houses were promised, as far as I remember. How many have been built so far?
Good afternoon, Masego, and thank you for having Amnesty International South Africa. And so far, what we've learned is that the publicly available information indicate that it's only over 500 houses that have been built by government on the land that was given by the mine, which is about 50 hectares of service land that was given to the government. And the project began in the 2014-2015 financial year, and it was supposed to be finished within 3 years after its commencement. But up until today, we only have those particular houses that we can point to, at least according to publicly available information. And we have written to the Department of Human Settlements to find out more information regarding this particular project, and we are yet to receive a response or even acknowledgement regarding that particular project.
And I know that Lonmin also promised to build about 5,500 houses, and I wonder how many have been built there, and how embarrassing it will be in terms, or how shameful it would be really, in terms of the fact that the same workers who work for Sibanye Stillwater, taken over, of course, which took over Lonmin, of course, were complaining just a few months ago and protesting, saying that the CEO received a fat bonus while they are not given the percentage that they need for salary increases.
Yeah, so that's the problem that you see when it comes to most of these corporates that are operating in South Africa or even in general all over the world, is that you find that they put profits ahead of people's lives and human rights. So that's the main issue in terms of social labor plans, which are obviously legally binding documents and plans. They are not, in most cases, they are not being even completely implemented. Even now, as we speak, there is a backlog at Sibanye Stillwater, of which they are obviously blaming on Lonmin, and they are not clear as to why is there such a backlog existing. When we visited last time, which was a trip sponsored by the mine on the 15th of July, we did ask that particular question as to why is there such a backlog in terms of the implementation of the SLPs, but there was no clear answer as to why there is such a backlog exists. And if you are going back to the failures of the history of the failures of Lonmin, you would recall the 5,500 houses that were promised to people on the ground, only to find that they only built about 3 of those particular houses, and then they blamed it on not finding as in a financial provider or someone will support the plan, of which was just a lie, because their original 2006 social labor plan made no mention of such. And that's what our Smoke and Mirrors report found, and also that's what the Farnham Commission in 2015 found.
Now, if the recommendations that the Farnham Commission had sent, particularly to the National Prosecuting Authority, whether in the Northwest or nationally, if those recommendations are not implemented, can you imagine, after 10 years, can you imagine how long it's going to take for the Zondo Commission inquiry, for that report's recommendations to be implemented by the National Prosecuting Authority? Because that also adds to the cases that they're supposed to already be prosecuting when it comes to Marikana, where there were a lot of witnesses already.
There is a serious problem when it comes to our justice system, because particularly when you're looking at the entry level, when it comes to the police and how they carry out these particular investigations, because if you look at the cases that are being taken to court, in most cases you'll find that whether the police are being whether individuals are being acquitted, or maybe even if it's the police in cases of excessive use of force, if it's protests, for instance, as an example, you'd find that they isn't sufficient evidence that has been collected by the police, and that's the case that you see in most of these cases. Even if it is GBV cases, it's the same story. That when it comes to collecting evidence that will be lead to prosecutions and also lead to convictions and sentencing in court, there isn't a sufficient investigation around that part. So yes, we may have commissions like the Palam Commission, and we may have the Zondo Commission, but if there is no will and also there is no effective investigations. Therefore, it means that we will be back, even whether it's next week or tomorrow, we'll be back talking about the same issue, lack of accountability.
And of course, we know that the Department of Energy and Mineral Resources also has a role to play in finding closure, not only for the mine workers of Marikana, but for mining communities as well. Thank you so much for speaking to us here on eNCA. That was Sibusiso Khasa. He is from Amnesty International South Africa. He's a campaigner there.